What up, world? Established Rich coming right back at you. The more the game talks about Kendrick Lamar, the more this don't sound like a real beef. It sounds like a man who cannot understand why somebody he looked at as a little brother don't look at him like a big brother.
It's too. Another thing, there's some insight, and I'm gonna say why you on the thing. There's some insight. You know, Dot don't get on the phone with everybody. He don't talk to. This what y'all got to understand about Kendrick Lamar. He just not talking to everybody. He talked to Glasses. He's a very few small people that he'll get on the phone with. I think that was another thing that Game had an issue with. He couldn't get Kendrick on the phone. And I'm trying to explain. He's like, man, why won't he just talk to me? You know, I'm just like, my nigga, like, hey, man. And I'm explaining to this, everybody ain't the same. I remember having a conversation with Kendrick about that phone and just talking. He's like, that's his vice.
That right there is what I think the game really wants. He wants Kendrick to call him, acknowledge him, and give him some type of reverence for being there before he was this Kendrick Lamar. I think the game wants a relationship that Kendrick has with Dr. Dre. I was one of the OGs who helped you along the way, so why don't you treat me like one? But that type of relationship can't be demanded. Somebody can respect what you did for them without seeing you as their mentor. And they definitely don't have to keep a relationship with you just because you was around early. And this is what the game always seems to get in his own way. Instead of just letting the history speak for itself, he keeps reminding everybody of what he did for everybody else. If Kendrick knows what you did, why do we have to keep hearing about it? And if Kendrick don't want to talk to you, how many times are you going to keep reaching out?
Hello, I'm back.
Okay, you're back. Okay. Well, everything good? How'd that go?
You know, let me tell y'all what that call was about. Okay.
Oh yeah, let's hear it.
So let me go to the chat. Make sure there's some people in here. Let me tell y'all what that call was about. That call was about Top was calling me to tell me that when these clips come out, we got to tell the whole. He said, I know you telling the whole story, but you got to tell. It got to be in the clip of the whole story because he want everybody to understand. Dot didn't just stop talking to him for no reason. After that video that dude shot in Compton, that changed everything.
The 100 video.
The 100 video. And, you know, I had spoke about that and when I said that, I told Wack and Game about that. And Top thing is like, hey, that got to be, it don't need to be perceived that Dot just stopped talking to Kendrick out of nowhere. I mean, Kendrick stopped talking to Game out of nowhere. Right. That was the thing that, you know what I'm saying, that did it. And he reminded me that some of the younger guys, when they shot that J-Rock video, they went over to Game's house to do that part. And Game when he put that mask on, he said that the label or somebody said he couldn't show his face. But 2 weeks later, he did a Hurricane Chris video.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? So
right.
These are the things that Top is reminding me on the phone.
This is the part that you can't just brush past. You brought Drake to Compton and let him shoot the 100 video in Kendrick's backyard while Drake was already saying things on that record that could be taking his shots towards Kendrick. And the game's defense is that he didn't know Drake was dissing Kendrick.
Did you notice or feel like there were shots towards Kendrick on that song from Drake's side?
I didn't feel like that, and if I did, I wouldn't put a song out because again, like I said, Kendrick's my brother. I love him too. I think at the end of the day, it's all good in hip hop. It ain't like Kendrick and Drake are about to go into a street war. I mean, if Drake was taking subliminals at Kendrick on that song and Kendrick caught it and wanted to return something, I think that would be great for hip hop.
Yeah, and their relationship has always been really interesting to me because it's always been those subliminal, like the line that people thought was when he said, I could have had all your fans if I never went pop and I stayed on some conscious shit. Right. People thought that was like, I could be in your lane, but I chose to be like super mainstream, and then Kendrick kind of returned that. But it's, I don't know, who you got if they go at it?
Who I got? Lyrically?
Lyrically.
I mean, lyrically, man, I don't know.
We talking about the game. One of the things you got to give Game credit for is that he can rap his ass off. So now I'm supposed to believe that this great lyricist didn't catch a subliminal shot on his own song. Maybe Drake really did pull the wool over his eyes. But if I'm Kendrick, I don't believe that. From Kendrick's side, you brought the man I already had tension with to my city, put him on your song, and shot the video right here. Whether the game intended it as disrespect or not, he should have at least understood how Kendrick could take it that way. And that's the problem with the game. He always wants people to understand his intentions after the damage is done.
A massive, massive peace summit went down in Los Angeles.
Israel and
no, that's next week. We're going to get them together next week. But this week, The Game and 50 Cent officially buried the hatchet. They are done. Wait, am I supposed to say that?
Yeah, you can say that. It's good.
I can?
well, they're done this week,
I don't know. Yeah, they are. I mean, look, before they've said that they're gonna make up,
and they always do, and then they don't.
and they don't. But this time, I really believe it's true because
Why? Because they did it in a strip club?
yeah, exactly. They got together in the VIP at Ace of Diamonds. What more do you need to know? That's it. It's completely officially squashed. We saw them back. I think it was in March. They were both at Playhouse, but we didn't see them actually together like this.
Is that a hug? I can't tell.
Yeah, they're hugging it out. They're
That's him whispering in his ear, like, "Hey, bro, you know what? It's tricky between us, but guess what? We need to class the whole situation. It's been 12 years, and I'm tired of it being like super heated, and us keep on getting back and forth at each other. Let's be BFFs now, hugging, just do that type of thing."
I don't know if they used the term BFF.
Yeah, I don't think
doubt
that
came out of.
This clip right here reminds me why people have always had a hard time understanding what the game is doing. 1 minute 50 Cent is the worst person in the world. Then they cool. Then something happens and he throwing shots again. Game has been flip-flopping like this his whole career. Today we family. Tomorrow you betrayed me. Next year we are men, so the beef is over. Then 6 months later somebody says something and it's back on again. After a while, people stop knowing what they supposed to believe. And I think Kendrick may have looked at all of that and decided he don't want to participate. He don't have to publicly beef with the game to remove himself from the situation. Sometimes not calling somebody is the answer.
But he said when Kendrick did Power, this is what he said. When Kendrick did Power, and they knew that 50 Cent was his arch nemesis, he didn't feel away. He felt like he enjoyed it. So he's like, I didn't care that Kendrick did Power.
There was another part of this that I think really bothers Game. Kendrick ended up becoming what the Game probably thought he would be to the West Coast. And I'm not talking about who can rap better. Game's problem is that he always acts like being a great rapper should trump everything else. It doesn't. This business has always been about the music and the business. And the Game has never shown me that he was nearly as good at the second part as he was at the first. Look at all the talent, access, and attention he had. Black Wall Street should have become something major, but it never turned into a West Coast institution. Then TDE came along and actually built that machine. Kendrick became the artist, Top Dog became the CEO, and suddenly Game was watching a generation build something that he never did.
So, and the fourth thing is, niggas can't with him lyrically, just period. And he said, all the motherfuckers, when people talk about lists and he not on the list, but he went up against Jay-Z. He went up against this one. He went up against that one, and he's still here. He's still here rapping, walking around, running his miles, living his life, lifting weights, living and breathing and eating good food. So those are the four things that he definitely wanted me to convey. He said, you see how we getting on the phone and we talking? He said that's all he ever wanted when it came to Dot. And I said, this was my rebuttal. I said, hey, well, the video shoot, he felt the way about that. He said, well, if I held grudges, like niggas held grudges against me, where would the West Coast be? He's like, there was a time where I was the only out here. So if I was like that, trying to do what they was doing, where would we be? Where would we all be?
When I hear the Game say, if I held grudges, where would the West Coast be? I'm like, hold up. What exactly are we giving you credit for holding together? Because when I look at the Game's career, I see a lot more burned bridges than bridges he kept together. He fell out with 50 Cent and G-Unit. His relationship with Dre has been up and down. And now we are sitting here talking about why Kendrick don't speak to him. Then people bring up that moment when Snoop Dogg publicly passed the torch to Kendrick Lamar.
I'm gonna say this and I'ma mean this. Nigga, you got the torch, nigga. You better run with it. You better run with it, nigga, because it's yours.
Game was right there, but nobody ever stopped to do the math. If Snoop is passing the torch to Kendrick, when did Snoop ever pass the torch to Game? That is important because I think Game believed it was his responsibility to pass the torch to Kendrick. But the culture never really gave him ownership of the torch in the first place. He was a huge star, he was a great rapper, and for a period, he was the biggest West Coast artist in the world. But being the hottest rapper is not the same thing as becoming the leader everybody recognizes. I think the Game has spent years trying to use his words to close that gap.
And everybody knows, before Drake was my favorite rapper, you were my favorite rapper. 100%. You were my favorite rapper from like 2005 to like 2008. 100%. Okay? I with you. But I gotta be honest with you. You have always had this syndrome about you where you seek acceptance from the people who clearly don't with you. You did it with Dr. Dre. My nigga, you named your second album Doctor's Advocate after he made it clear that he was choosing Aftermath and he was basically rocking with 50. He just wasn't going to work with you. You weren't going to get a Dre beat. You named a thing called Doctor's Advocate. And by the way, I love it. That's a great album. But even the intro, you're kind of like whining about Dre not loving you and not accepting you. And, you know, you have these songs like, shout out to that song One Night. You're like crying on the song, like, you know, drunk. It's about not being accepted. And you were my favorite rapper at the time. So just to put it in context. So, and I was thinking, man, these. I watched you lead a campaign versus G Unit. I think that you're one of the main reasons 50's run ended when it did. You and Ye. And I was thinking, yo, why is the Game acting like he always need another nigga? He's that. To me, I'm growing up. He's my favorite rapper. He's that.
This is the sad part, because the Game shouldn't have to beg anybody for attention. But he has always seemed to have this thing where being a part of something is not enough. He has to feel like he is one of the most important pieces in it. We saw it with G-Unit. He came to a machine that was already built, got an enormous boost from that machine, and before long, it felt like the Game thought he was 50 Cent. And I see a version of that same thing with Kendrick. Game knows he was there early on. So in his mind, that should give him a certain place in Kendrick's story. But Kendrick got his own story. He has Dr. Dre. He has Top Dawg. He has the people who were actually there building with him at TDE. And the Game may not have a position in that story that he think he should have. That don't erase what the Game did. It just means he needs to stop trying to force acknowledgement. And the more he talks about Drake calling him, Kendrick not calling him, who he helped, who he could have signed, and who does or does not give him credit, the more insecure he starts to sound. This man is too accomplished to still be asking the room, y'all remember me, right? So I'm gonna take y'all out like this. I don't think the Game hates Kendrick Lamar at all. I think he wants something from Kendrick that Kendrick ain't willing to give him. He wants to call, he wants to respect, and I think he wants Kendrick to publicly acknowledge him as one of the big brothers who helped make the road easier. But you can't talk somebody into seeing it your way. And maybe Kendrick never forgot 100. Maybe he got tired of the Game's flip-flopping. And maybe there's no deep beef at all, and Kendrick just moved on with his life. Whatever it is, the Game needs to accept the answer he was given instead of repeatedly asking questions. Because at some point, Kendrick not calling you is not a story about Kendrick no more. It becomes a story about why you want to talk to him so bad. Game has spent much of his career falling out with people, making up with people, and then explaining why every relationship went wrong. The common denominator in all these stories is the Game. That don't mean he is always wrong. It does mean at some point, he has to ask himself why this keeps happening. You are one of the best rappers to ever come out of the West Coast. That should be enough to stand on without Kendrick Lamar calling you to confirm it. Stop chasing acknowledgement and let your legacy speak for itself. But hey, that's just my opinion. What's yours? Like, comment, subscribe, Establish Rich. I'll be back with another one. Hey.